Peace, what's happening, everybody? It's Stacy Patrice here with a new installment of Hump Day Tools for the Soul. And today I'm here to talk about pulling yourself away from the popular paradigm. The reason I wanted to do this video is to talk about how it is that when we are creating our own lanes in our life, that we can feel nurtured and nourished in the process, as opposed to feeling completely distant, rebellious, isolated, and alone. And not that it's important for all of us to feel included. Sometimes the movement happens faster when you don't feel like there's an inclusive answer to whatever it is that you're rebelling against or moving for. But the distinction that I want to bring out and to fully illustrate is that oftentimes whatever we're feeling that has us pulling away from the popular paradigm is simply because of the fact that we keep returning to the traditional vessels that we know to follow based on other people's example. Well, I will say that if you are pulling away from the popular paradigm, you may not use the traditional vessels. The traditional vessels no longer apply to you because you are moving away from the traditional. Seems simple, but very, very challenging to kind of grasp when you're actually in the thick of it. So I'll give an example. When I first decided that I wanted to craft and create my own lifestyle and pull my ideas from my head into my lifestyle and actually have them physically manifest, the first thing I had to do was move myself away from people who thought that I was being completely ridiculous and rebellious for no reason, that I wanted to do something different than what other people were doing. And I had the foundations. I come from foundations of people who have broken rules. I come from ancestors who have broken rules. And I also come from some very magical people who knew how to use things that were not necessarily commercially advertised or accepted in order to make healing results for themselves. And so in meeting these people, these amazing, wonderful, magical people, I started to see that there were these areas in my life in which I could do the exact same thing. I didn't feel sick, or I didn't feel anything was wrong with me in particular, but I did feel that something's not quite right, that I'm not necessarily following what it is that I know I need to do for myself, even if no one else likes it or finds it to be important. And so at first I started by like really trying to rally with people and just find like, hey, don't you all think this is important? Isn't this what we should be doing? Isn't this the idea of what's next? And people were like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not that deep. I just, when I buy my hair and, body products, I just like them to smell good. I really don't care. They weren't paying attention to the fact that it was aromatherapy. They weren't paying attention to the fact that certain ingredients are harsh on the skin and they're actually absorbed by the skin and into the body. These were not things that they were thinking about. They just wanted something that smelled good and felt good. And as I was schooled on those ingredients and what to keep off of my body and what should never go into my body, and the more natural it is, I should be able to almost eat my products that I'm using on my body. I would notice people commenting on, when I would take pictures, people commenting on my skin or people commenting, asking me what I was using. And I didn't remember that I was doing anything special because I'd gotten so accustomed to it that I was just doing what I'd always decided that I wanted to do. What was interesting is that conversely, I was seeing friends of mine getting infections and getting, eczema and these rashes and, these kind of skin disorders. And they were totally oblivious to the idea that it could be something that they use every single day on their skin that would create this type of reaction on a regular basis. So I could not then ask those friends who weren't paying attention to that if they've ever heard of a certain ingredient or where do they go to shop for their skin goodies or their beauty goodies. And what I realized is that this would be a journey I would have to go alone until I met other people who are already on the journey who could pull me further along, or until I moved far enough on the continuum to reach success that people started asking me, where do I go? What do I do? And I start researching a little bit deeper for more than myself. The reason I give this example is because I feel like now, where we are now, people are very conscious about what it is that they're using on their body and on their skin. They're very much looking into make sure it's sulfate free and that there are no glycols or, there are no artificial ingredients. And, people are going into their kitchen and creating concoctions and they're doing the do-it-yourself movement online. And these were things that were not around when I first started talking about this, because people were like, oh, I'm just going to go to the makeup counter and buy something. I'm going to go to the, Ulta or a Sephora or, whatever store they love the most, and just go buy something. And now even those stores include um, more natural products. So it's just funny to see things evolve. And what I'm saying to each of you is that if you are pulling away from the popular paradigm, just have faith that if you believe in something, people will catch up to it, and just nurture that vision and hold that vision until they do. It's not your job to beat people over the head with your ideas about what it is, but just find like minds who are already looking for that. Find people who are solution oriented and who are looking for solutions for what ails them or what's happening with them. On another note, another point I wanted to make about this is, if in fact you find yourself in a group of people who are not particularly interested in everything that you're interested in, I think being the example is a lot more powerful than talking about the example. A lot of times people want to see your results and then follow what you did. Just give me the formula, tell me what to do. People don't necessarily want to go on the journey to find it, to develop it, to create it, to be the pioneer, but they definitely want to follow the person who has paved the way. And so some of my people out here, some of my soul healers that are watching, I know you are way pavers. And being a way paver, or being the orchestrator of a movement, or being an activist or a catalyst for others' growth, for the growth of humanity, is definitely an important thing in whatever way that you do it. I mean, some people do it in a much more intense fashion, and other people do it in a much more subtle fashion. It just depends on where you feel your movement is and what your voice is. But what I will say is that as you are pulling away from the popular paradigm, just be reminded that for everything that you think, there's someone else thinking it, there's someone else feeling it. Look for these people, look for these groups, and then also create a space where the people that you bump into can experience more of it. And this is what I've done with my brand, and this is what I do as I'm creating my workshops, my special events, and things that I want people to experience. It's because I want to gather that like-minded community together, and I want us to all talk about it together and not feel alone and on our own in this process. And what would be really helpful to each of us is to then share that movement, then talk about that movement as it's happening, so that people know, hey, these people are doing this. You are not just aimlessly moving towards something that came into your head. You are moving definitively towards a new solution for people who think just like you. So with that being said, pulling away from the popular paradigm just means don't go back asking the people who are not part of the new paradigm. The people who are part of the popular paradigm cannot advise you on how to pull away from the popular paradigm. People who are part of the popular paradigm, wow, that's a lot of alliteration. they cannot they cannot bring forth a new slant or a new vision to that paradigm, because if they had it, they wouldn't be a part of the popular paradigm. If they thought it was effective, they thought it worked, and they thought it made sense, they would already be shopping that paradigm. So just move forward knowing that if someone is following the old paradigm, it's because they have not yet found a suitable solution slash answer slash comfort with maybe the solutions that are presented. I feel like it is about balance, but it's also about what it is that makes you happy and how important that is to you. Are you willing to sacrifice maybe the numbers, maybe the statistics, maybe the iconic expectation that other people have, when you know that the thing that you want is more important than the thing that they're trying to have? It's just something to think on. So everybody think on that. Think on your paradigms that you've pulled away from, the popular paradigms you pulled away from. We all have them. And whether your popular paradigm is what your family tells you you should do and who you should be and how you should do it, or whether it's a different form of relationship, whether it's a parenting technique or style, the way you dress, the way you express yourself, the way you talk, the type of job you carry, the type of job you create, the way you connect to people who are less fortunate than you, or the way you connect with the people who are far more fortunate than you. Your ideas about how you pull away from the popular paradigm shape your individuality. And your individuality is what shapes your lifestyle. And your lifestyle is what shapes the amount of joy, happiness, and other successive emotions and successes you can experience. So if we can all begin to shift and search these private yearnings that we have, that help us to know that, I'm not really happy with this area of my life. I think I'm going to try something different. Knowing that the road is not laid out for you, and you don't have to look for a road to be laid out for you. Just start to trust yourself, listen to your intuition, and begin to go it alone. And over time, you'll find that exactly what it is that you're looking for is laying right in front of you, and you can power your way or superpower your way to a new reality just by taking the risk for what it is that you love and what it is that you want. So again, here we are, stripped for love. Find those things that make you smile, make you feel amazing, and make you want, that are worth it, that make you say, I think what I love is worth it enough for me to take a risk and do something different than I had ever decided to do. And I'll show others the results. Okay? So again, leave your comments below. Let me know what you found. Let me know what paradigms you have no part of. Let me know which ones you shifted and people caught up to later. Also, if possible, let me know which ones you're thinking about. There may be somebody in the comments or someone watching the video who has some light and wisdom to share with you. So again, thank you so much for listening. Again, I'm Stacy Patrice of God is Light, and I hope to talk with you soon. Have a wonderful expansive reality, and I'll see you with more tools for the soul next Wednesday. Grace and peace.